Hello, Bob. It's great to be with you today. This is an important global moment because it has never been more important than today to focus on issues having to do with gender equality, and having male champions for this initiative, for this great cause, is really important to us. You, as the global chairman of PwC, have been a champion for gender equality in many different ways in your organization. And I'm so thrilled to be able to talk to you today. I'd like to start by just saying one thing. First, thank you for being a HeForShe champion. But tell us, Bob, why has this been so important to you personally and to the organization?
So Anita, thanks for this discussion today, as well as the summit itself. It's important for us to talk as a collective group, not only to the participants that are listening on this webcast, but also to make sure the messages and the content that we share gets broader disseminated around the other parts of the world. Let's go back to your question, Anita. I'll take it from two perspectives. Why was this important to PwC? PwC, in its own purpose statement, is focused on building trust in society and helping solve important problems. Both of those issues are squarely in the center of what you just said, getting better focus on gender equality. And as a result, PwC as a business, as a large global organization, had a very important role to play as we think about the role of government, business, and community leaders to try to address the challenges ahead of us. Now, having said that, we actually had to make sure we at PwC were doing all that we needed to do in this area to be a role model. We're a people organization. We're symbolic and representative of society as a whole. So we wanted to make sure we were walking the talk ourselves. For me personally, the leaders have to be champions of these causes. The leaders have to role model the expected behaviors and talk through and create the right environment for the changes we're looking to make, the accountability you're trying to drive, and the initiatives that you put in place. One of those was clearly our focus on the male side of the equation, being sponsors, supportive, and a key ingredient for success as we move forward to try to progress towards gender equality. So we saw a great alignment with the HeForShe initiative at the UN and a great opportunity to collaborate in a comprehensive way. So it was very important for us not only to role model, but also to participate, to learn, and to leverage those learnings and connections on a worldwide basis to make us better and enable us to help the world be better as well.
And I want to just share with everybody some of the things actually that you have been doing, and that will lay the groundwork for what more we need. So PwC, I think from the beginning, has been a HeForShe champion. And I'm just going to read some of the things you've done because there's a lot, and I'm not going to remember it all if I don't read it. But here are some of the things that I think the world needs to know about. First, you've launched a male-focused gender curriculum, which is available both on your website and also on the UNICEF training, where hundreds of people take this every year. You've launched a global inclusion index to increase representation of women in leadership, which has been completed based on your data-driven approach. And that shows that global leadership levels went from 18 to 74 to 47%. Fantastic. Maybe we'll get it to 74%. You've raised the global profile of HeForShe by seeking HeForShe commitments from network leadership teams and 80,000 male employees. And, these are just some of the things that I think PwC has done under your leadership. And to me, what that shows is that that commitment runs deep. PwC made this commitment to further support women in leadership. And one of your big areas of success, which we cover in PwC's Proven Solution, is that you have actually seen the fruits of this labor. You have actually seen a significant increase in the numbers of women who are represented in your global leadership team. So can you just share with us a little bit of this journey, what it took, how you got there, and tell us what issues you encountered along the way so that others can learn from your experience.
Now, thanks for the question, Anita, and happy to share it at a very high level. But as you said, it is a case study in our PwC proven solutions that you actually share publicly at the UN relevant to the HeForShe initiative. So by all means, I just encourage people to take a read through that. First is the responsibility of executive sponsorship. This has got to come from the top of the organization. It's got to be important, and there's got to be accountability for execution, not just talk, to make the progress that's needed. Second point is we have to recognize there is plenty of talented, impactful, successful women that could step up to these roles. They just need to be given opportunity. So as a result, leaders have to think creatively around succession planning, maybe organizational construct, and maybe even create new jobs to move people to those new jobs to put women in the existing business unit roles, to give them the opportunity. And that clearly was the case when I came into my role of saying this was going to be an explicit stated goal. And it was up to me to make the tough decisions, the balanced decision, the informed decisions around the women that could step into leadership roles to get to the percentages you talked about. The other point, though, I want to make is some lessons learned. First and foremost, use data. Data that gives you a sense of where that pipeline is, both structured data and unstructured data, to understand the trajectory of the women that are up and coming, the future leaders, and make sure that you're helping them with sponsorship, education, and the like to continue to develop and grow. What we're talking about here is giving them more responsibilities so they can demonstrate they can manage scale, and they'll get into those senior positions shortly thereafter. The second piece is one around accountability. At the business unit levels, making sure our leaders, male or female, have the responsibility to drive that focus on succession planning, the need for better representation from gender, as well as other classes of individuals, as we think about the concept of diversification. Last but not least, though, is something I guess was a personal lesson. It takes a lot of time and energy to put people in roles. You got to make sure that they're able to succeed in those roles. So sponsorship to get the role is one thing. Continued sponsorship to succeed in that role is another. And that's where the concept of mentorship versus sponsorship is really, really important. It's that personal capital people will put forward. And those were some of the lessons learned that I could tell you as I thought about this, and if I cascaded this through the organization, became very interesting for us to maintain and sustain the momentum for change and make sure it's not one done. And that was the opportunity I think that we were looking for, but to keep the focus on the actions. Anita, let me maybe come back to you with a question.
Sure.
I was really excited about the generation equality and the actions coalitions. So maybe talk a few minutes about where was HeForShe's focus and what's their vision for some of those initiatives, and what are you looking to accomplish on a global scale basis?
I mean, it's really building a little bit on what HeForShe has been able to do, because the idea behind generation equality was to create an inflection point and a real push for transformative change. So we wanted to create something that would bring together governments, the private sector, civil society, think tanks, academics, young people, and get this multi-stakeholder approach to pushing the agenda. That's what generation equality is. That's what the action coalitions aim to do. I think we have to wrap up now, Bob. So let me, in wrapping up, maybe just ask one last question. And that is, as we look forward, I think you and I would both acknowledge that there's still a lot of work to be done. Where is your focus going to be, and what are we going to see from you in the future that is going to be inspirational?
Well, thanks for the confidence in PwC and myself in that regard, Anita, and thanks for the update on the action coalitions. There's probably two areas where we're going to be more focused going forward. One is around the learning side of the equation. Everybody's talked about the concept of upskilling and enhanced skills to be successful and relevant and fit for purpose going forward. One of the things we're actually working on right now is actually badges or certifications in the area of inclusion and diversity, and putting programs in place to actually get our people certified. The second point I talked about previously, which is one around accountability. We really see a lot of momentum building around the ESG agenda obviously a big focus from the UN's SDGs, but nonetheless, transparency and reporting on progress in the area of ESGs is really important. And that does two things. It actually gets people focused on what's get measured, gets done. And it actually allows for organizations to get more pressure that actually forces more action from the outside world, the stakeholder communities.
Thank you so much, Bob. I'm going to join your call for change. Thank you all and see you next time. Bye-bye now.